story. Alexander Winters sat behind his mahogany desk, reviewing the quarterly reports from Winters Security Solutions. His fingers traced the Navy SEAL trident pin displayed prominently beside his computer monitor, a reminder of 8 years that had forged him into the man he was today. The monitor displayed live feeds from 12 different corporate sites, each protected by his elite security teams. "Mr. Winters," his intercom buzzed. "Mr. Porter is here to see you." "Send him in," Alex replied, his voice carrying the commanding presence developed during his years in SEAL Team 6. Damian Porter strode in, his expensive suit and briefcase marking him as one of Boston's top corporate attorneys. The smile on his face didn't match the concern in his eyes. "You're going to tell me I'm making a mistake," Alex said before Damian could speak. "The Romanos, Alex." Damian placed his briefcase on the desk. "I've got files you need to see. I've vetted them thoroughly." Alex's tone carried a warning edge. "Not like this." Damian pulled out a thick folder. Frank Romano didn't build that empire on hard work alone. The construction permits, the zoning changes, they all have blood on them. Alex leaned back, his muscular frame filling the executive chair. "Tell me something I don't know." "Her brothers, then." "Michael's Marine record is spotless, but what he's done since coming home." Damian spread photographs across the desk. "Anthony may wear a lawyer's suit now, but he's buried more evidence than he ever prosecuted. And Vincent? The MMA championship is just a cover for what he really does." "They're her family, not my fiancé," Alex replied, his voice carrying the same tone he'd used commanding missions. A knock interrupted them. Rebecca Foster, Tori's assistant, entered with a stack of papers. She hesitated upon seeing Damian. "The charity gala documents Miss Romano requested," she said, placing them on the desk. Alex noticed her hands trembling slightly. "Everything all right, Rebecca?" "Of course, Mr. Winters." She smiled too quickly. "Miss Romano mentioned she'll be working late tonight." Another environmental case. After Rebecca left, Damian leaned forward. "Even her assistant is scared of them, Alex. That doesn't tell you something?" Alex stood, walking to the window overlooking Boston's financial district. "I remember what you said when I met her. Old money mixed with new violence. But you didn't see her at that gala, Damian." "Tell me," Damian said, recognizing his friend's rare moment of openness. 2 years ago, I'm surrounded by Boston's elite, all of them trying to get their hooks into the ex-SEAL who built a security empire." Alex's eyes focused on a distant point. "Then I see this woman berating a senator about offshore drilling. Not networking, not playing the social game. She's actually making the bastard squirm about his voting record. That's what convinced you? Her environmental law stance?" Alex turned, his expression hardening. "It convinced me she wasn't what everyone claimed the Romanos were. 8 years in SEAL Team 6, you learn to read people, to trust your gut about who's genuine and who's playing a part. And now?" Damian gestured at the engagement ring catalog on the desk. 18 months of watching her build cases against corporate polluters, fighting for environmental regulations, all while her family's construction empire had to adapt to stricter standards. Alex's voice carried certainty. "She's different from them." Damian gathered his files. "Different enough to risk everything you've built?" "The ring will be ready next week," Alex said, his tone indicating the discussion was over. "I want you there when I propose." After Damian left, Alex accessed his security network. Multiple cameras showed Tori entering her law office, greeting colleagues, reviewing cases. Everything about her daily routine supported his judgment. Only one screen showed something different. Rebecca Foster making a phone call in the stairwell, her face etched with worry. Alex zoomed in, but the angle prevented lip reading. His training nagged at him to investigate, but he dismissed it. Trust had to go both ways. In her office across town, Tori Romano ended a different phone call. "It's proceeding as planned," she said softly. "He suspects nothing." She opened her desk drawer, removing a photograph of a middle-aged couple, Judge Richard Malone and his wife Catherine. Her fingers traced their faces before she returned it to its hiding place. Rebecca knocked and entered. Mr. Winter's security team confirmed their coverage for the engagement party. "Perfect," Tori smiled. "And the other arrangements?" "Your brothers have coordinated with the staff. Everyone knows their role. Rebecca paused. Are you sure about this? Mr. Winters isn't like the others. Tori's expression changed, revealing something harder beneath her polished exterior. That's exactly why this has to work. He's built his life on protecting people, Rebecca. Now he'll learn what it feels like when those closest to him become the threat. Later that evening, Detective Sandra Morrison reviewed surveillance photos in her cramped office. Images of Tori Romano meeting with various individuals over the past year covered one wall. In the center, a photograph of the Malone's mangled car held prominence. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number, evidence secured. Waiting for your signal. Morrison typed back. Maintain position. Wait for the engagement party. She looked at a recent photo of Alex Winters at a corporate event. I'm sorry, she whispered, but you're the key to bringing them all down. At midnight, in a luxury apartment overlooking the harbor, Dr. Catherine Malone reviewed medical journals, preparing for her next shift at Mass General. A photo of her family, taken before the accident, sat on her desk. Her brother James's face smiled from the past, unaware of how their lives would change. Her phone lit up with a message. Everything's in place. Are you ready? Kate stared at her father's face in the photograph before responding. I've been ready for 5 years. Across town, in a high-security penthouse, Alex Winters prepared for bed, his military precision evident in every action. The engagement ring's design specifications lay on his nightstand, a custom piece worthy of a Romano. His phone displayed a message from Jessica Hayes. Unusual network activity detected. Request meeting tomorrow. Alex sent a brief acknowledgement, then checked his security feeds one last time. Everything appeared normal, except for a single frame showing a figure slipping into the Romano mansion's side entrance. The timestamp matched Tori's late night at the office. He zoomed in, but the image quality prevented identification. Years of training screamed at him to investigate, to treat it like a mission and gather intelligence. Instead, he closed the feed. In the darkness of his bedroom, Alex touched the trident pin on his nightstand. Trust your instincts, his SEAL commander had drilled into them. But for the first time since leaving the teams, Alexander Winters chose to ignore them. The decision would cost him everything. The Romano family's waterfront mansion blazed with light, illuminating the manicured grounds where Boston's elite mingled with carefully vetted staff. Marcus Wheeler adjusted his bow tie, scanning the crowd with practiced ease while maintaining his cover as head bartender. Southeast corner, Jessica Hayes's voice crackled through his nearly invisible earpiece. The server with the champagne tray doesn't match his credentials. Marcus casually shifted his position, noting the server's irregular movements. Running facial recognition now, he murmured, his lapel pin capturing high-resolution images. Across the room, Detective Sandra Morrison sipped sparkling water, her trained eye cataloging every interaction. Anthony Romano stood with a group of judges, his prosecutor's charm on full display. Michael Romano monitored security positions with military precision, while Vincent prowled the edges of the gathering like a caged predator. Quite a security presence, a voice said beside her. One might think they're expecting trouble. Morrison turned to find Damian Porter, Mr. Porter. Interesting choice of conversation for an engagement party. Let's just say I've learned to be observant where the Romanos are concerned. He nodded toward Alex Winters, who stood greeting guests with perfect military bearing. Have you warned him? About what? Morrison kept her voice neutral. Don't play coy, detective. 5 years investigating the Malone case? We both know there's no such thing as coincidence where this family's concerned. Before Morrison could respond, a commotion near the bar drew their attention. The nervous server had bumped into Tori Romano, spilling champagne on her designer dress. I'm so sorry, Miss Romano, he stammered, hands shaking as he tried to help. Marcus moved to intervene, but Tori waved him off. It's fine, she said, her voice carrying calculated warmth. James, isn't it? First night on the job? The server's face went pale. Morrison noticed Michael and Vincent Romano exchanging glances, their positions shifting subtly to block exits. I should get cleaned up, Tori announced, touching Alex's arm. Don't start any toasts without me. As she left, Morrison saw her make a subtle gesture. Anthony Romano nodded, then spoke quietly into his phone. "Did you see that?" Damien whispered. "Every bit," Morrison replied. "Question is, did Winters?" Near the bar, Marcus received an alert from Jessica. Facial recognition complete. Server identified as James Malone, son of Judge Richard Malone. Maintain surveillance, Marcus responded softly. "Alert Mr. Winters?" "Negative." Jessica's voice carried tension. "Something bigger is happening. Network intrusion detected at multiple WSS sites. This is coordinated." Dr. Catherine Malone moved through the crowd, accepting congratulations for her recent publication in the New England Journal of Medicine. Her path took her past James, allowing a moment of eye contact. His slight nod confirmed everything was proceeding as planned. "Dr. Malone," Alex Winters approached, champagne in hand. "I'm honored you could attend. Tori speaks highly of your work at Mass General." Kate smiled, years of preparation making her response natural. "The honor's mine. Your security firm's contributions to hospital safety protocols have been invaluable. Perhaps we could discuss expanding those protocols?" Alex gestured toward a quieter area. "I've been reviewing some concerning statistics about hospital personnel safety." "Mr. Winters," Rebecca Foster interrupted, her face professionally composed despite her racing pulse. "Miss Romano requests your presence upstairs. She's having trouble with her dress." Kate watched Alex follow Rebecca, noting how Vincent Romano detached from his group to follow at a discreet distance. She touched her necklace, activating the encrypted communication device disguised as a pendant. "Target is moving," she whispered. "Commence recording." Throughout the mansion, hidden cameras activated, their feed streaming to secure servers. Years of planning had led to this moment, each player positioned perfectly for what would follow. In the security control room, Jessica Hayes detected the unauthorized transmissions but couldn't locate their destination. "Multiple unknown devices broadcasting," she reported. "Signal pattern matches NSA-grade encryption." "Hold position," Marcus ordered. "If this is what we've been waiting for, we need proof." Upstairs, Alex found Tori in their private suite, her eyes red from crying. "What's wrong?" "How long?" she demanded, holding up her phone. "How long what?" "Don't lie to me." She played a video, security footage showing Alex embracing a woman in his office. "That's not possible." Alex stepped forward, but Tori backed away. "I trusted you." Her voice carried through the door, where Vincent Romano listened with a predatory smile. "Everyone warned me about your type. Military men who can't stay faithful, who think their service gives them the right to take whatever they want." "Tori, that video's been altered. Let me have Jessica analyze it." "Your head of security? The same woman you're sleeping with?" The accusation hung in the air as heavy footsteps approached. Michael and Anthony Romano entered, their faces set in expressions of brotherly outrage. "You dare accuse my sister of lying?" Michael's Marine training showed in his stance. "This is a setup." Alex's voice carried deadly calm. "Think carefully about your next move." Anthony pulled Tori behind him. "The only setup was you using our sister to access Romano family connections. How many corporate secrets have you stolen while playing the devoted fiancé?" Vincent entered last, cracking his knuckles. "Time to teach him how we handle men who disrespect our family." Alex assessed the situation with combat-honed precision. 3 trained fighters, confined space, civilian presence. His options were limited. "Tori," he said, his voice carrying command authority. "Look at me. You know this isn't true." For a moment, something flickered in her eyes. Regret? Fear? Then it vanished behind tears. "How dare you try to manipulate me even now?" The first punch came from Michael, a precise strike targeting nerve clusters. Alex blocked it, but missed Vincent's leg sweep. As he rolled to his feet, Anthony produced a tactical baton. "No witnesses," Anthony said coldly, closing the door. Downstairs, Rebecca Foster recorded everything on her phone until rough hands seized her arms. "That's enough," a security guard growled, confiscating the device. Detective Morrison created a timely distraction, allowing Rebecca to activate the phone's remote backup. Evidence preserved, she watched helplessly as the sounds of combat echoed from above. Dr. Catherine Malone waited precisely 7 minutes before heading upstairs, her medical bag ready. The Romano brothers emerged, adjusting their clothes as she approached. He fell, Anthony said smoothly, multiple times. Quite unfortunate. Kate entered the room, her trained eye assessing Alex's injuries. As she checked his vitals, she leaned close to his ear. They're planning worse, she whispered. Much worse. Alex's eyes flickered with understanding before unconsciousness claimed him. In his last moments of awareness, he saw James Malone watching from the doorway, the server's uniform discarded to reveal an expensive suit beneath. As paramedics loaded Alex into an ambulance, Tori Romano played her final role perfectly, the devastated fiancé destroyed by betrayal. Only Rebecca Foster noticed her slip a small USB drive to James Malone during their embrace. Detective Morrison recorded everything, knowing each detail would become crucial evidence. The Romano Empire had just made its first major mistake, and Alexander Winters, decorated SEAL, security expert, and now victim, was the key to bringing it all down. The Romano Mansion's grand ballroom descended into controlled chaos as news of the confrontation spread. Security personnel, both Alex's team and the Romano's private force, maintained a perimeter around the scene while guests whispered and speculated. Mr. Porter. Rebecca Foster grabbed Damien's arm as he tried to reach the stairs. They're going to kill him. Two of Anthony Romano's security detail intercepted Damien. This is a family matter, one said, his suit jacket failing to hide his shoulder holster. Please remain with the other guests. Damien's legal training warred with his instinct to help his friend. If anything happens to Alex Winters, every law enforcement agency in Boston will be investigating. Investigating what? Anthony Romano descended the stairs, straightening his cuffs. A man assaulted by his fiancé's brothers after being caught cheating? Hardly unprecedented. Rebecca's phone continued recording until Vincent Romano spotted her from above. The assistant, he called out. She's documenting everything. Phone, a security guard demanded, reaching for Rebecca's device. Detective Morrison saw her chance. Oh my God, she screamed, pointing toward the mansion's entrance. He's got a gun. The momentary distraction allowed Rebecca to complete the cloud backup before surrendering her phone. Morrison noted the slight nod Rebecca gave her. Evidence secured. From his position at the bar, Marcus Wheeler maintained his cover while relaying information to Jessica Hayes. Multiple hostile elements converging. Recommend immediate extraction. Negative. Jessica's voice crackled through his earpiece. Monitor and record only. Something bigger is happening here. The sound of breaking glass upstairs punctuated her words. James Malone watched from a shadowed alcove, his expression shifting between triumph and fear as raised voices carried down the grand staircase. You bastard! Tori's voice rang out. I gave you everything. The performance was masterful, her timing perfect as she fled down the stairs in tears. The Romano brothers followed, each playing their role in the choreographed display of family outrage. Get a medical team up there, Michael Romano commanded, his military bearing lending authority to the order. And clear these civilians out. Dr. Catherine Malone stepped forward. I'm a trauma surgeon. Let me through. Vincent Romano blocked her path. Our private medical team will handle this. With multiple suspected fractures and possible internal bleeding, Kate's professional tone carried steel beneath it. You need someone qualified to assess traumatic injuries. Anthony Romano studied her for a moment before nodding. Let her up. We wouldn't want anyone claiming we denied medical care. Kate climbed the stairs, her medical bag gripped tightly. The scene in the upstairs room confirmed her worst fears. Alex lay unconscious, his injuries strategically placed to cause maximum pain while avoiding fatal damage. The Romano brothers' expertise in violence showed in every precise bruise and methodically broken bone. She knelt beside him, quickly assessing his condition. Multiple facial fractures, possible broken ribs, suspected internal bleeding, she announced loudly for the benefit of any listeners. Then, softer, near his ear, they're planning worse. They want you alive for what comes next. His pulse was strong, a fighter's heart refusing to surrender. As she stabilized his injuries, Kate noticed a small recording device hidden in his cufflink. The Romano brothers had been so focused on phones and obvious surveillance that they'd missed the SEAL's backup plan. Outside the room, James Malone paced in agitation. Everything had gone according to plan, yet something felt wrong. The way Alex had looked at Tori in those final moments, not with betrayal or anger, but with tactical assessment, like he was gathering intelligence rather than reacting to emotional pain. Worried about something? Tori appeared beside him, her tears now dried and her voice carrying a hint of mockery. This was too easy, James muttered. A man with his training, his resources, is still just a man, Tori finished. One who trusted the wrong woman. Tale as old as time. In the ballroom below, Rebecca Foster watched the paramedics arrive. Her hands shook as she remembered the look in Vincent Romano's eyes when he spotted her recording. She'd seen that look before. In the days leading up to Judge Malone's accident, Detective Morrison appeared beside her. Miss Foster, I believe you dropped this. She pressed a small card into Rebecca's hand. If you need to talk about what you saw tonight. Rebecca glanced at the card, a phone number written in clean, precise digits. She tucked it away quickly, aware of Anthony Romano's security team watching her every move. The paramedics emerged with Alex on a stretcher, Kate Malone walking alongside monitoring his vitals. The gathering crowd parted, their whispers a mixture of shock and morbid curiosity. My God, Damian Porter pushed forward. I'm his attorney. I'm riding with him. That won't be necessary, Anthony Romano interjected smoothly. Our family doctor will oversee his care. Given the circumstances, Kate cut in. As the attending physician, I'm ordering immediate transfer to Mass General's trauma unit. Unless you'd prefer to explain to the medical board why you overrode emergency protocol? Her credentials and tone left no room for argument. As the ambulance doors closed, Kate caught a glimpse of James Malone's face. The triumph there had faltered, replaced by something closer to uncertainty. In the Romano Mansion's security room, Jessica Hayes worked frantically to decrypt the data streams she detected during the incident. The sophistication of the encryption suggested government-level technology, but the pattern was unlike anything in her NSA databases. Packages away, Marcus Wheeler's voice came through her headset. But we've got players moving that weren't in the briefing. Hold position, Jessica commanded. Full surveillance on every Romano family member. Something tells me this engagement party was just the opening move. As the ambulance sped toward Mass General, Kate Malone checked Alex's vital signs again. His military training showed even in unconsciousness. His breathing regulated, his body instinctively preserving strength for whatever came next. You were right not to trust them, she whispered, knowing he couldn't hear. But you trusted the wrong person for all the right reasons. And that's exactly what they counted on. The Romano Mansion slowly emptied of guests, the night's violence already becoming gossip for Boston's elite. Detective Morrison collected her coat, noting how Tori Romano had disappeared immediately after her performance. A quick check of the security cameras would later show her leaving through a side entrance, a burner phone pressed to her ear. The engagement party had accomplished its goals. Alex Winters was neutralized, his reputation damaged, and the Romano family's response appeared justified to any casual observer. But in the aftermath, multiple players moved pieces on a larger board. Rebecca Foster backed up her cloud data to 3 separate secure servers, her hands steady now that the immediate danger had passed. Detective Morrison began composing paperwork that would initially appear to support the Romano's version of events. And in an office downtown, Damian Porter opened a safe containing files he'd hoped never to use, intelligence on the Romano family that might now be the key to saving his friend's life. The night ended with shattered glass, broken bones, and fractured trusts. But for some players, it was just the beginning. The real game, years in the planning, was finally in motion. Mass General Hospital's secure wing buzzed with controlled activity. Security cameras tracked every movement while armed guards maintained discreet positions at key points. Inside the private room, monitors beeped steadily as Alex Winters lay motionless, his injuries a testament to the Romano brothers' expertise in inflicting pain. Jessica Hayes typed furiously at her laptop, multiple screens displaying data streams that would have been incomprehensible to most observers. The fabricated video was good, she muttered. Professional grade. But they got sloppy with the metadata. Damian Porter leaned over her shoulder. Sloppy enough to prove it's fake? Better. Jessica's fingers flew across the keyboard, sloppy enough to trace where it came from. The encryption signature matches known Romano Industries protocols. The door opened as Thomas Reed, MASH General's chief of security, entered. The retired FBI agent's presence had already proved invaluable, his federal connections providing access to resources beyond normal hospital security. Latest sweeps clean, Reed reported. No unauthorized electronics, no surveillance devices. My team's monitoring all access points. Alex's voice, rough from disuse, startled them. Status report. Jessica and Damien exchanged glances. Even battered and connected to monitors, Alex Winters commanded the room like he was back in SEAL Team 6. Rebecca Foster came through, Damien said, pulling up files on his tablet. She's been documenting everything for months. Late-night meetings, suspicious phone calls, irregular financial transactions. Show me. Jessica connected her laptop to a secure monitor. Financial records scrolled across the screen. Dates, amounts, account numbers. Each of Tori's environmental law cases coincided with major fund transfers from Romano Industries. The money moved through a series of shell companies before landing here. She highlighted a name. James Malone Enterprises. Alex's expression hardened. The judge's son. There's more. Damien spread documents across Alex's bed. Rebecca managed to access Tori's private calendar. Every time she claimed to be working late on environmental cases, her phone's GPS placed her at locations owned by James Malone's companies. What about the beating? Alex's voice carried deadly focus. I want every detail of who was involved. Thomas Reed produced a thumb drive. Hospital security footage, plus recordings from 3 different angles courtesy of your security team. The Romano brothers weren't as thorough as they thought in sweeping for cameras. The footage played silently on the monitor. Alex watched without expression as the scene unfolded. The fabricated evidence, Tori's performance, the calculated violence of her brothers. Stop. Alex pointed to a frame. There. Enhance the background. Jessica zoomed in on a figure, partially visible through the doorway. James Malone. He was coordinating with them. Track his movements before and after. I want to know every person he contacted that night. A knock interrupted them. Dr. Elizabeth Chun, the hospital's forensic psychiatrist, entered with a thick file. Mr. Winters. She adjusted her glasses. I've completed my preliminary analysis of James Malone's behavioral patterns. Give me the relevant points. This isn't simple revenge, Chun began, opening her file. The pattern suggests a long-term strategy, meticulously planned. His choice of Tori as an accomplice wasn't random. He's using her guilt over her family's role in his parents' death to manipulate her, while simultaneously setting her up to take the fall if things go wrong. Alex absorbed this information with tactical precision. And Tori's motivation? Complex, Chun replied. The evidence suggests she truly believed in her environmental law work initially, but the Romano family influence corrupted her. She's playing both sides, helping James damage her family while securing her own position. Jessica's laptop pinged. Sir, you need to see this. Rebecca Foster just uploaded new data. I'm decrypting it now. The files revealed a pattern they'd missed. Regular transfers from Romano Industries accounts coinciding with what appeared to be legitimate environmental law victories. Money laundering, Damien realized. She was using the settlements from her environmental cases to clean Romano family money. Contact Ryan Cooper, Alex commanded. I want his team analyzing every financial transaction connected to both the Romanos and Malone's companies. Already done. Jessica pulled up a secure chat window. He's been running deep background since the incident. His team found something interesting. Several former Romano associates have been quietly helping James Malone, each with their own grudge against the family. Alex processed this information with cold efficiency. The tactical part of his brain, honed by years of high-stakes missions, assembled the pieces into a clear picture. They thought beating me was the end, he said, his voice carrying lethal certainty. They don't understand. It was just the beginning. Every person involved in this betrayal will learn exactly why you don't cross a seal. Dr. Chun studied his reaction with professional interest. Your response is remarkably controlled, Mr. Winters. Most men in your position would be driven by emotion. Emotion gets you killed. Alex's military training showed in his precise words. Strategy wins wars. And make no mistake, this is war. Thomas Reed's phone buzzed. Perimeter alert. Vincent Romano just entered the hospital's main lobby. Right on schedule, Alex said. Jessica, initiate Protocol 7. Jessica's fingers flew across her keyboard, activating prepositioned surveillance systems throughout the hospital. Cameras active. Security teams in position. Mr. Winters, Dr. Chin interjected. In my professional opinion, James Malone's psychological profile suggests he's expecting retaliation. This visit from Vincent Romano might be a test. Oh, it's definitely a test. Alex's smile carried no warmth. And we're going to fail it exactly the way they expect. Reed, make sure our friend Vincent gets some useful intelligence to take back to his family. What kind of intelligence? Damien asked. The kind that makes them think they've broken me. Alex's tactical mind was already several moves ahead. Let them see what they expect. A man defeated by betrayal, drowning in paranoia and pain medication. Meanwhile, we'll be dismantling their empire piece by piece. The monitors continued their steady beeping as Alex Winters, former SEAL and betrayed fiancé, began planning a counteroffensive that would make his military operations look like practice runs. The Romano family had awakened something far more dangerous than the businessman they thought they knew. They'd awakened a warrior who'd built his fortune on understanding how to destroy powerful enemies from within. And this time, it was personal. Kate Malone stood in her father's old study, now preserved in her private residence. Judge Richard Malone's legal volumes still lined the walls, their spines holding more than just law texts. She pressed a hidden switch, revealing a concealed safe behind a particular volume on corporate law. He was always methodical, she said to Detective Morrison, who watched with professional interest. Even when he knew they were coming for him, he made sure the evidence would survive. The safe contained dozens of USB drives, each meticulously labeled and dated. A failsafe, Kate explained. Dad distributed copies to trusted colleagues across the country. Each person only knew about their own piece. It's taken years to connect them all. Morrison examined one of the drives. This is why you became a surgeon. Perfect cover for building relationships with other Romano victims. Everyone trusts their doctor. Speaking of trust, Kate inserted one of the drives into her laptop. Maria Gonzalez is ready to talk. The video conference connected to a secure location. Maria Gonzalez, former Romano Industries accountant, appeared on screen. Her disappearance 3 years ago had been attributed to everything from suicide to witness protection. Dr. Malone, Maria's voice carried the weight of someone who'd seen too much. Detective Morrison, I assume this connection is secure? Triple encrypted, Morrison confirmed. Tell us about the financial patterns you discovered. Maria's fingers clacked on a keyboard. Documents appeared on their screen, spreadsheets, bank statements, corporate filings. Frank Romano built his empire on more than just construction. Every major project involved kickbacks, bribes, money laundering. But they got clever about hiding it. How clever? Kate asked. They started using legitimate businesses as fronts. Environmental law firms, charitable foundations, even medical research grants. Maria highlighted specific transactions. See these transfers? They match perfectly with Tori Romano's major case victories. Clean money coming in, dirty money going out. Detective Morrison leaned forward. And James Malone knew about this? He didn't just know. He helped design it. Maria pulled up another document. After Judge Malone's death, James spent 2 years working in financial technology. He created half the systems Romano Industries uses to move money, built himself a backdoor into everything. Kate's phone buzzed, a text from the hospital. Vincent Romano had just left Alex Winters' room. How's our patient? She asked cryptically. Playing his part perfectly, came the reply. Vincent took the bait. Good. Kate turned back to the video conference. Maria, we need everything you have on the Romano family's legitimate operations. Every clean business, every legal transaction. Why focus on the legal ones? Morrison asked. Because that's where they're vulnerable, Maria explained. The illegal operations are too well hidden. But the legitimate businesses? They have to follow regulations, file public records, maintain proper documentation. One weak point in their legal operations could unravel everything. A knock at the door interrupted them. Jack Reynolds, the retired detective who'd investigated the Malone's accident, entered carrying a thick folder. "Ladies," he nodded to the screen. "Maria, good to see you alive."
Jack.
Maria's smile carried years of shared history. "Still causing trouble?" "More than ever." He spread crime scene photos across Kate's desk. "I kept copies of everything from your parents' case. Photos, witness statements, forensic reports, even the evidence that mysteriously vanished from official records." Morrison examined the photos. The accident was staged to look like brake failure. But these skid marks show the car was deliberately forced off the road, Reynolds finished. "We had tire track matches, paint transfer analysis, even a partial witness statement. All of it disappeared within 24 hours of Romano Industries lawyers getting involved." Kate studied the images of her parents' mangled car with clinical detachment. The Romano family's influence runs deep. Police, judges, city officials, they have people everywhere. "Not everywhere," Reynolds corrected. "There's a network of former cops, prosecutors, and civil servants who've been watching them for years, gathering evidence, maintaining unofficial files, waiting for the right moment." "And now?" Maria asked from the screen. "Now we have Alex Winters." Reynolds tapped one of the photos. "The Romanos made a mistake attacking him so publicly. His security firm, his military connections, his resources, they've given us an opening we never had before." Kate's laptop pinged with an incoming message. A video file from Rebecca Foster showed Tori Romano meeting with James Malone in a private room after the engagement party assault. "Send this to Jessica Hayes," Kate instructed. "Her team can enhance the audio." "There's something else." Reynolds pulled out his phone, showing them surveillance photos. "Anthony Romano's been making regular visits to a private bank in Switzerland. The timing matches major transfers from Tori's environmental law settlements. Morrison's trained eye caught details others might miss. He's carrying documents each time. Physical papers, not digital files." "Old school," Maria noted. "Smart. Digital trails can be traced, but paper trails can be stolen," Kate finished. She assembled the pieces. "We need those documents." "Already working on it," Reynolds said. "I've still got contacts in Interpol. They're monitoring the bank." Kate's phone buzzed again. Another update from the hospital. Alex Winters had begun his physical therapy, maintaining his cover of a man slowly recovering from trauma. "How long can he keep playing wounded?" Morrison asked. "As long as necessary." Kate's confidence in Alex showed in her voice. 8 years in SEAL Team 6, he knows how to hide his true capabilities. The Romanos think they broke him. They have no idea what's coming. Maria's voice carried urgency from the screen. "We need to move faster. I've detected new patterns in Romano Industries transactions. They're liquidating assets, converting everything to untraceable cryptocurrencies. They're preparing to run," Reynolds realized. "No," Kate corrected. "They're preparing for war." They hurt Alex Winters thinking he was just another businessman they could intimidate. Instead, they've given him the motivation and justification to destroy them completely. Morrison's phone lit up with a text from her FBI contact. "Vincent Romano just reported back to his family. Says Alex is heavily medicated, barely coherent. Apparently kept rambling about betrayal and paranoia." "Perfect." Kate allowed herself a small smile. "Let them think they've won. It'll make their fall that much harder." Her laptop showed another incoming call, this one from Jessica Hayes. "Dr. Malone." Jessica's voice carried urgency. "We found something in the enhanced audio from Rebecca's video. You need to hear this." The recording played softly in the judge's study. Tori's voice carried clearly. "James, it's done. Alex Winters is neutralized. But your obsession with destroying my family ends now. I have evidence that will bury both you and the Romanos. One wrong move, and everything goes public." "Blackmail," Morrison said. "She's playing both sides." "No," Maria corrected. "She's playing all sides. The Romanos, James, even Alex. They're all pieces in her game." Kate thought of Alex in his hospital bed, supposedly broken but actually gathering intelligence and planning his response. She thought of her father, methodically preparing evidence even as death approached. Most of all, she thought of Tori Romano, who believed she was the master manipulator in a game where every player had hidden motives. "Send everything to Jessica Hayes," she commanded. "Every file, every photo, every piece of evidence we've gathered. It's time to show Alex Winters exactly what he's dealing with." The pieces were falling into place. The Romano Empire, built on decades of corruption and violence, was about to face an enemy they'd never encountered before. A warrior who understood that the most devastating attacks came from within, using an enemy's own strength as a weapon against them. And Alexander Winters was very, very good at destroying his enemies. The hospital's security monitoring room hummed with technology and tension. Jessica Hayes watched multiple screens displaying feeds from throughout the building. Each monitor told part of a story: doctors making rounds, nurses checking patients, and occasionally, carefully disguised Romano family associates attempting to gather intelligence. Movement on camera 4, Marcus Wheeler's voice came through her headset. Vincent Romano's enforcer, trying to look like a visitor. Jessica zoomed in on the feed. The man's posture and awareness of camera positions marked him as professional security. Track him. Let's see what he's really here for. Her system pinged with an incoming data burst from Kate Malone. Financial records, surveillance photos, witness statements, a digital treasure trove of evidence against the Romano family. But it was the audio file that caught her attention. "Alex," she keyed her secure comm, "you need to hear this." In his hospital room, Alex Winters listened to Tori's conversation with James Malone through a discreet earpiece. His expression remained neutral, a skill perfected during years of high-stakes operations. "Play it again," he commanded. "Focus on the background noise." Jessica enhanced specific audio frequencies. Behind Tori and James's conversation, barely audible, came the sound of papers being moved. "Those documents she mentioned," Alex said. "The ones she's using for blackmail. They were in the room." "Already scanning the video frame by frame," Jessica replied. "The angle's bad, but there's a reflection in the window. Some kind of leather portfolio." Alex's tactical mind processed this information. "Check Romano Industries' internal communications. Look for any unusual security upgrades in the past week." Jessica's fingers flew across her keyboard. Multiple new safe installations at their corporate headquarters. Plus, interesting. They've hired a specialized document destruction service. "They're cleaning house," Alex noted. But Tori wouldn't keep her leverage in any obvious location. A quiet alarm sounded on Jessica's system. "Sir, we've got movement." Vincent Romano just entered the building, right on schedule. Alex adjusted his position, ensuring the medical monitors displayed appropriate readings. "Execute Protocol 7. Vincent Romano's attempt to access Alex's 4-line played out exactly as they'd anticipated. Hospital security responded perfectly, creating an incident serious enough to justify federal involvement without actually putting Alex at risk. FBI Special Agent Diana Wright. Thomas Reed made the introduction. She's been monitoring Romano family activities for the past 3 years. Agent Wright's presence commanded attention even in plain clothes. "Mr. Winters." That was quite a performance for Vincent Romano. "Had to give him something to report back," Alex replied, his voice carrying calculated weakness. "Though I doubt he bought it entirely." "He didn't need to," Wright said. "Your reputation precedes you. The Romanos expect you to try something. They just don't know what or when." Jessica's system flagged another alert. "Sir, Gregory Nash from our cybersecurity team just picked up something interesting. Encrypted communications between Tori and multiple offshore accounts." Nash's face appeared on a secure video feed. The encryption's sophisticated, but the pattern is familiar. It matches protocols James Malone developed for Romano Industries. Except, he paused, typing rapidly. "There are modifications. Subtle changes that let her communicate without James detecting it." "Show me the transactions," Alex commanded. Data streams filled the screen. Dates, amounts, account numbers. A pattern emerged. Every time James Malone's companies received funds from Romano Industries, smaller amounts were diverted through a complex web of transfers. "She's skimming," Agent Wright realized. Using James's own system to siphon money while helping him attack her family. Not just skimming, Jessica corrected, her analysis software highlighting specific patterns. These transfers, she's building a failsafe. Each transaction includes encrypted data packets. She's been collecting evidence against both sides. Alex processed this information with cold efficiency. She plans to burn everyone. Her family, James, even me. Then escape with the money while we destroy each other. Sir, Nash interrupted. There's more. I've found communications between Tori and James from before the Malone's death. They were in a relationship during college. Agent Wright leaned forward. This wasn't just about revenge. They were working together from the start. No. Alex's tactical assessment cut through the speculation. James orchestrated their reunion as part of his plan. But Tori turned it into her own game. Each of them thinks they're controlling the other. Jessica's system pinged again. New data from Rebecca Foster's surveillance. Tori's been meeting with private banking contacts, moving assets into anonymous accounts. She's preparing her exit, Agent Wright noted. Once she has enough evidence and money secured, she burns everything to the ground. Alex finished. His voice carried deadly certainty. Leaving me discredited, her family destroyed, and James exposed as the mastermind. Thomas Reed studied the financial data. The Romano family's reach goes deeper than we thought. These transactions implicate judges, police officials, even state legislators. Collateral damage, Alex said. When Tori releases her evidence, the entire power structure collapses. Perfect cover for her disappearance. Sir, Jessica highlighted new data. Nash found something in the encrypted packets. Tori's been documenting everything. The Malone murders, Romano family operations, James's revenge plan. She's got proof that would destroy everyone involved. Alex's expression hardened. That's her insurance policy. If anyone figures out her plan, she releases everything, Agent Wright concluded. Mutual assured destruction. The hospital room fell silent as they processed the implications. Tori Romano had orchestrated a perfect trap, using James's desire for revenge, her family's criminal empire, and Alex's own tactical expertise against all of them. Options? Alex demanded. Jessica analyzed the data streams. We can track the money, but she's got fail-safes. Any attempt to freeze the accounts would trigger automatic evidence releases. The Romano family's already suspicious, Reed added. Vincent's failed attempt to access your 4 proves they're not done with you. And James Malone? Agent Wright asked. Watching everything, Nash replied through the video feed. His systems are monitoring both the Romanos and us. One wrong move alerts him to Tori's betrayal. Alex absorbed their reports with military precision. The tactical situation was complex, multiple hostile forces, each with their own agenda, all manipulated by someone he'd trusted completely. Sir? Jessica's voice carried concern. What's our play? Alex Winters, former SEAL and betrayed fiancé, allowed himself a cold smile. We give them exactly what they expect. Let Tori think her plan is working. Let James believe his revenge is proceeding perfectly. Let the Romanos think they've neutralized me, while we... Agent Wright prompted. Prepare a counterattack they'll never see coming. Alex's voice carried the authority that had commanded SEAL Team's 6 missions. Because they all made the same mistake. They thought breaking my body meant breaking my will. Time to show them exactly who they're dealing with. In the monitoring room, Jessica Hayes watched the various players move across her screens. Vincent Romano leaving the hospital, Tori attending legal meetings, James Malone monitoring everything through his systems. None of them realized that every move they made provided more intelligence for Alex's coming retaliation. The game had become infinitely more complex, but Alexander Winters had built his fortune on understanding how to turn complex situations to his advantage. The Romano family had tried to destroy him through betrayal. Instead, they'd awakened something far more dangerous. A warrior who now had nothing left to lose and everything to avenge. Alex Winters surveyed the warehouse interior through military-grade tactical glasses. Ryan Cooper's team had positioned themselves strategically throughout the vast space, each operative chosen for their personal grudge against the Romano family. All units in position, Jessica Hayes's voice came through his earpiece. Surveillance systems active on all frequencies. Alex touched the scar on his jaw, a reminder of the Romano brothers' beating. Status on our target? James Malone's vehicle just turned onto the access road, Cooper reported. Facial recognition confirmed. He's alone. He won't stay that way, Alex replied. The moment he verifies the evidence we promised, he'll call Tori. Dr. Elizabeth Chin's voice cut in. Remember, his psychological profile suggests a need for validation. He'll want to gloat, to prove he's the mastermind. That's what we're counting on. Alex moved to the central area where they'd arranged stacks of documents. Each page had been carefully selected based on Chin's analysis, evidence that would appeal to James's ego while triggering his paranoia about Tori's betrayal. Marcus Wheeler's team had positioned former Romano employees throughout the building. Carlos Ramirez, once Vincent Romano's most trusted enforcer, stood near the main entrance. The scar on his neck testified to what happened when he'd refused to help murder Judge Malone. Target approaching main entrance, Jessica reported. CCTV shows he's armed. Shoulder holster, probable backup piece at his ankle. Alex smiled coldly. Let him keep them. Makes him feel in control. James Malone entered like a man who'd already won, his confidence masking the constant vigilance of someone who'd spent years orchestrating revenge. His eyes scanned the warehouse interior with practiced precision. Mr. Winters. James's voice carried calculated sympathy. You're looking better than the last time I saw you. Alex leaned heavily on a cane, a prop chosen specifically to reinforce James's perception of him as physically diminished. Apparently I have you to thank for that view. You had quite the performance at the engagement party. Necessary theatrics. James moved closer to the documents. Though I admit, watching the great Alexander Winters brought low by love. That was an unexpected bonus. Is that what this was about? Alex's voice carried just the right note of bitterness. Proving you could outsmart a seal? James picked up one of the files, his eyes widening at its contents. Where did you get these records? Did you really think you were the only one documenting everything? Alex watched James flip through pages detailing transactions between Romano Industries and his shell companies. Tori was very thorough in her record-keeping. The mention of Tori's name had its intended effect. James's fingers tightened on the papers. You're lying. Tori wouldn't betray you? Alex laughed harshly. Like she betrayed her family? Like she betrayed me? Face it, James. We're both just pieces in her game. Chin's voice whispered in Alex's earpiece. Perfect. Challenge his perception of control. James pulled out his phone, exactly as they'd predicted. The call connected after 2 rings. Tori? We need to talk. Now. Problems? Alex asked innocently. Shut up. James scrolled through more documents, his composure cracking. These transfers, these dates. His eyes snapped to Alex. You're trying to turn me against her. Am I? Alex spread more papers across the table. Look at the account numbers. The routing patterns. She used your own system against you, James. While you were focusing on revenge, she was building an escape route. Sir, Jessica's voice came through the earpiece. Tori Romano's vehicle just entered the perimeter. Multiple armed escorts. Alex allowed himself a predatory smile. Right on schedule. James's expression shifted from confusion to understanding. You wanted her to come. Of course I did. Alex straightened, dropping the pretense of injury. Did you really think a few broken bones would stop me from destroying everyone involved in this betrayal? The warehouse doors opened as Tori entered, flanked by her brother's security team. Her designer suit and perfect makeup couldn't hide the tension in her stance. Hello, darling, Alex called out. We were just discussing your creative accounting. James, Tori's voice carried warning. Step away from those files. Too late. James held up specific pages. These transfers. You've been skimming from both sides since the beginning. It's called insurance. Tori's hand moved toward her purse. Something you taught me about, remember? Always have leverage. Cooper's voice came through Alex's earpiece. Romano brothers approaching from the south entrance. Heavy backup. Excellent. Alex's voice carried satisfaction. The whole family's arriving for their downfall. Tori's eyes narrowed. You're enjoying this? Immensely. Alex moved with fluid grace, all pretense of injury gone. You wanted to see the real me? Here I am. Not the businessman you thought you could manipulate. Not the wounded fiancé you tried to destroy. This is who I really am. The warrior you should have feared from the beginning. The Romano brothers burst in, weapons drawn. Michael's military training showed in his tactical approach, while Vincent's MMA background reflected in his ready stance. Anthony remained back, coordinating their private security through hand signals. Drop the files, Michael commanded. Make me, James snarled, his own weapon appearing. Alex watched the chaos unfold exactly as planned. The Romano family's enforcers facing off against James's allies, while Tori calculated her own angles of escape. Every player exactly where Dr. Chen's psychological profiles predicted they'd be. Jessica, Alex spoke quietly. Execute Protocol Omega. Throughout the warehouse, hidden panels opened. Federal agents emerged, led by Diana Wright. Former Romano victims appeared from concealed positions, each carrying cameras and recording devices. Every angle covered, every word and action documented. What is this? Tori demanded. This, Alex's voice carried lethal satisfaction, is what happens when you betray a SEAL. Did you think those bones you broke were the only things I gained from 8 years in Team 6? I learned how to plan operations, how to predict enemy behavior, how to turn every target's strength into a weapon against them. James raised his gun. You're bluffing. Am I? Alex nodded toward Carlos Ramirez, who stepped forward. Judge Malone's death wasn't an accident, Ramirez announced clearly. I was there when Frank Romano ordered the hit, when Anthony arranged the cover-up, when Vincent handled the witnesses. More former Romano employees emerged, each with their own testimony, each recording adding to the mountain of evidence being assembled in real time. It's over, Alex stated flatly. Every account frozen, every escape route blocked, every piece of evidence you all gathered against each other, now in federal hands. The Romano brothers moved to attack, but agency rights teams were faster. Within moments, the family that had terrorized Boston for decades found themselves in handcuffs. You played us, Tori realized, fury replacing her usual calculated control. All of it. The hospital, the recovery, the evidence. I learned from the best. Alex's smile carried no warmth. You taught me how to play a role, darling. Consider this my final performance. As federal agents led the conspirators away, Alex Winters stood in the warehouse where justice had finally caught up with the Romano family. The price of their betrayal would be complete and systematic destruction, not just of their freedom, but of everything they'd valued. The trap had sprung perfectly, but this was just the beginning of their reckoning. The coordinated raids on Romano properties began at dawn. Agent Wright and Detective Morrison had synchronized their operations with military precision, each location targeted simultaneously to prevent evidence destruction. Frank Romano's private office yielded Judge Malone's missing case files, hidden behind a false wall panel. Anthony's law firm contained financial records documenting decades of corruption. Vincent's gym, beneath its legitimate business front, held surveillance footage of organized crime meetings that would destroy what remained of the family's political connections. Sir, Jessica Hayes called from her mobile command center. You need to see this. Alex approached the monitor array she'd established. Each screen showed a different Romano property being systematically dismantled. Status report. Maria Gonzalez's financial records are proving invaluable. The money trails implicate half the city council, 3 judges, and dozens of police officials. Jessica highlighted specific transactions. The corruption network is bigger than we imagined. Detective Morrison entered, carrying a thick file. The dominoes are falling. 2 council members have already agreed to testify in exchange for leniency. They're providing details about building permits, zoning changes, every crooked deal for the past 20 years. And our star witness? Alex asked. Rebecca Foster's testimony is damning. Morrison opened the file, revealing transcripts. Her documentation of Tori's activities provides a perfect timeline. Phone logs, meeting records, financial transfers. She recorded everything. The Romano family's attempts to silence Rebecca had backfired spectacularly. Their threats, now documented and added to the evidence, only strengthened the prosecution's case. Agent Wright's teams just finished at Vincent's gym, Jessica reported. The surveillance footage, sir. It's worse than we thought. They recorded their own crimes for blackmail purposes. Alex watched the screens with cold satisfaction. Send everything to the federal prosecutors. Every piece of evidence, every witness statement, every recording. I want the entire Romano empire dismantled brick by brick. Already happening, Morrison confirmed. The corruption investigation has expanded to include state officials. The governor's office is distancing itself from anyone connected to the Romanos. The door opened as Kate Malone entered. The hospital board just voted unanimously to audit every research grant connected to Romano Industries. 3 department heads have already resigned. Your father would be proud, Alex said quietly. Kate's expression hardened. He'll be prouder when they're all convicted. Jack Reynolds is testifying about the original investigation of my parents' murder. His preserved evidence, combined with Carlos Ramirez's confession, it's over for them. Sir, Jessica interrupted. Live feed from the federal courthouse. They're bringing in the Romano brothers. The screen showed Michael, Anthony, and Vincent Romano being led into court in chains. Their expensive suits couldn't hide the defeat in their postures. The family that had terrorized Boston for decades, reduced to common criminals. What about Tori? Kate asked. Being processed separately, Morrison replied. The evidence from her law practice. She wasn't just laundering money. She was collecting blackmail material on everyone. Judges, politicians, business leaders. No one who dealt with the Romanos escaped clean. Alex's phone buzzed with an update from Ryan Cooper. James Malone is cooperating fully. Dr. Chin's psychological assessment was perfect. Once his perceived control was stripped away, he broke completely. The raids aren't finished, Jessica noted, highlighting more locations on her monitors. Every Romano property, every shell company, every front business, they're all being seized. The family's entire infrastructure is being dismantled in real time. Kate studied the financial data scrolling across one screen. Maria Gonzalez's records are the key. She documented every transaction, every bribe, every payoff. The prosecutors are building RICO cases against the entire network. The Romano name is toxic now, Morrison added. Former allies are scrambling to save themselves. Banks are freezing accounts. Partners are canceling contracts. It's a corporate bloodbath. Alex watched the destruction with the same tactical precision he'd once applied to military operations. Each piece of evidence another bullet. Each witness testimony another explosive charge, systematically demolishing the empire built on corruption and violence. Update from the DA's office. Morrison checked her phone. They're fast-tracking the indictments. Multiple jurisdictions are filing charges. The Romanos will face federal and state prosecution. Make sure every case is airtight, Alex commanded. I want no possibility of appeals, no legal loopholes, no chance of them ever rebuilding their power base. Jessica's system pinged with new data. Sir, Rebecca Foster's testimony about the engagement party assault. The video evidence confirms Tori was coordinating with her brothers. Hand signals, preset codes. She orchestrated every moment of your beating. Add it to the charges. Alex's voice carried deadly certainty. I want every detail of their crimes exposed. Every act of violence, every moment of corruption, every instance of betrayal. All of it on public record. The screens continued displaying the systematic destruction of the Romano Empire. Properties seized, assets frozen, allies arrested. The family that had seemed untouchable was being erased from Boston's power structure. It's not just criminal charges, Kate noted, reviewing documents. Civil suits are being filed by every person they ever wronged. Former employees, business competitors, families of victims. They're all coming forward. Good. Alex's satisfaction showed in his stance. Let everyone they hurt have their chance at justice. The Romanos built their empire on fear and silence. Time to show Boston what happens when people stop being afraid. The day continued with more raids, more arrests, more evidence uncovered. Each hour brought new revelations of corruption, new witnesses stepping forward, new charges being filed. The house of cards that Frank Romano had built was collapsing, taking down everyone who'd ever profited from its criminal foundation. And Alexander Winters, the man they tried to destroy through betrayal, watched it all burn. The federal courthouse buzzed with tension as Kate Malone took the witness stand. Her testimony about her parents' murder, supported by Jack Reynolds's preserved evidence, commanded complete attention from the jury. The night before their death, Kate's voice carried clear and strong. "My father told me he'd uncovered evidence of systematic corruption in Romano Industries' construction projects. Building code violations covered up by bribes, safety regulations ignored, inspectors paid to look the other way." The prosecutor, a veteran federal attorney, guided her testimony skillfully. "And what happened next, Dr. Malone?" The next morning, their car's brakes failed on the way to the courthouse. Kate's clinical detachment cracked slightly, except they didn't fail. Carlos Ramirez has already testified about Vincent Romano's role in sabotaging the vehicle. In the defendant's section, the Romano family sat in prison jumpsuits, their power and prestige stripped away. Frank Romano's face had aged decades since his arrest. Michael stared straight ahead with military rigidity, while Anthony's legal expertise couldn't hide his growing despair. Vincent, the family enforcer, seemed smaller without his usual physical intimidation. James Malone's breakdown on the stand had fulfilled Dr. Chin's psychological profile perfectly. His desperate need to be acknowledged as the mastermind led to a full confession, detailing years of calculated revenge. But it was Tori's trial that captured public attention. The sophisticated lawyer who'd used environmental causes as cover for money laundering now faced her own day in court. Body camera footage from the engagement party EMTs showed her secret signals to her brothers, coordinating their assault on Alex even after he lost consciousness. "The evidence is conclusive," the prosecutor addressed the jury. Ms. Romano didn't just participate in her family's criminal enterprise, she expanded it. Using her legal practice to launder money, her environmental cases to create slush funds, her charitable work to hide illegal transactions, Maria Gonzalez's financial records eliminated any doubt. Every transaction documented, every illegal transfer traced, every act of corruption exposed. The jury's deliberation was brief. In the matter of the United States versus Victoria Romano, the judge's voice filled the courtroom. On the charges of racketeering, money laundering, conspiracy to commit assault, and obstruction of justice, this court finds the defendant guilty on all counts. Alex Winters sat in the gallery, his posture relaxed but his eyes intense. Each verdict, each sentence, each piece of damning testimony served as another nail in the coffin of those who'd betrayed him. The Romano properties were seized under RICO statutes. The waterfront mansion where they'd orchestrated his assault was transformed into a center for victims of organized crime. A fitting conversion that Kate Malone would oversee personally. The prosecution calls Rebecca Foster, the court clerk announced. Rebecca's testimony about Tori's activities provided the final threads connecting every aspect of the conspiracy. Her preserved documentation created a timeline of betrayal and manipulation that left no room for sympathy. "Ms. Foster," the prosecutor asked, "what made you start recording Ms. Romano's activities?" "It began with phone calls," Rebecca replied firmly. "Late-night conversations with James Malone, coordinating their plan to use Mr. Winters' security firm as cover for their financial operations. Then I noticed patterns in her legal cases, environmental lawsuits that always seemed to settle for specific amounts." "And what did you discover about these settlements?" "They matched transfers to offshore accounts," Rebecca explained. "Each victory in court corresponded with money moving through shell companies. The environmental cases were just cover for laundering Romano family money." The Romano family's attempts to silence Rebecca backfired spectacularly. Their threats, now documented and added to the evidence, only strengthened the prosecution's case. Alex's security firm emerged stronger from the scandal. Under Jessica Hayes's leadership, Winters Security Solutions became Boston's premier corporate security consultant. Their role in exposing the Romano conspiracy brought high-profile clients seeking protection from similar threats. The wedding ceremony took place in the restored courthouse where Judge Malone had once presided. Alex Winters and Kate Malone exchanged vows surrounded by those who'd helped bring down the Romano empire. Detective Morrison, Agent Wright, Rebecca Foster, Maria Gonzalez. Each person who'd risked everything for justice watching as love grew from the ashes of betrayal. Through the prison's CCTV system, Tori Romano watched another ceremony that day. James Malone, having received a reduced sentence for his cooperation, married Rachel Martinez, Tori's former best friend who'd helped gather evidence after learning about Tori's plot to frame her for the non-existent affair with Alex. "Quite the view," a guard commented, watching Tori's reaction. Her mask of composure cracked slightly. The woman who'd orchestrated so much manipulation now forced to watch others find happiness while she faced decades behind bars. In the restored courthouse, Alex stood with his new bride. His tactical mind, which had orchestrated the Romano family's destruction, now focused on building something positive from the ruins of betrayal. To new beginnings, Thomas Reed raised a toast. The former FBI agent now ran security for the foundation Alex and Kate had established, using seized Romano assets to help victims of organized crime. The Romano family's influence was permanently broken. Their name, once synonymous with power in Boston, now served as a cautionary tale about corruption and consequences. Frank Romano's empire, built through decades of violence and bribery, had been systematically dismantled by the man they'd mistakenly thought they could destroy. Alex Winters surveyed the gathered crowd: law enforcement, security professionals, former victims, and allies. Each person had played a role in delivering justice. Each had witnessed the price of betrayal. "Ready to go?" Kate asked, now dedicated to healing the damage her parents' killers had caused. "Almost." Alex touched the scar from his beating, a reminder of the night that had started everything. The Romano family had tried to break him through betrayal and violence. Instead, they'd awakened the warrior who'd learned in SEAL Team 6 that the most effective revenge required patience, planning, and precise execution. The price of betrayal, as the Romanos discovered, was the complete and systematic destruction of everything they valued. Their empire collapsed, their power broken, their legacy erased. And Alexander Winters, the man they'd underestimated, stood victorious among the ruins. Justice, like revenge, was best served cold, and no one served it colder than a betrayed SEAL who'd turned his enemy's own weapons against them. The Romano name faded into history, remembered only as a symbol of corruption's inevitable fall. But Alexander Winters' legacy grew stronger, not just through his security firm or his foundation, but through the message his victory sent to Boston's powerful elite. Some men couldn't be bought, couldn't be broken, and couldn't be betrayed without consequences. The price of such betrayal was complete and absolute destruction, and Alexander Winters always collected his debts. Epilogue: The price of betrayal. 10 years later, the maximum security women's correctional facility in Framingham held many inmates, but none quite like Victoria Romano. Once Boston's celebrated environmental lawyer, now she occupied a 6x8 cell, her designer suits replaced by prison denim, her influential name reduced to an inmate number. "Mail call," the guard announced, dropping a thick envelope through the slot. Tori recognized the law firm's letterhead. Her latest appeal had been denied. 3 attempts in 10 years, each one rejected. The Romano family's former connections in the judiciary now worked against them, every judge eager to prove their independence from past corruption. Her weekly counseling session with Dr. Elizabeth Chun had become a requirement after her 3rd suicide attempt. The forensic psychiatrist who'd helped profile James now studied Tori's psychological deterioration. "You received the appeal results?" Chun noted, observing Tori's defeated posture. 25 years, Tori's voice carried none of her former sophistication. "No possibility of parole. Your family's assets?" Chun prompted, though she knew the answer. "Gone. Everything seized. The foundation Alex and Kate created with our properties helps victims of organized crime." Tori's bitter laugh held an edge of hysteria. "They even turned our mansion into a women's shelter." Chun reviewed her notes. "You've been watching the news coverage of your brother Vincent's recent hearing? Denied release again." Tori's fingers twisted together. "Michael died in prison last year. Heart attack. Anthony serves his time in isolation after 3 attempts on his life. Our father." She trailed off. "Frank Romano had died 6 months into his sentence, his empire destroyed, his legacy in ruins." The Romano name, once powerful enough to make Boston's elite tremble, now appeared in law school textbooks as a case study in RICO prosecution. Across town, Winters Security Solutions occupied the top floors of a gleaming tower. Jessica Hayes, now CEO, had transformed Alex's company into a global leader in corporate security and anti-corruption operations. Latest numbers from the Singapore expansion, Jessica reported during their weekly video conference. Alex nodded, his silver-streaked hair and battle scars only adding to his commanding presence. In the Romano tracking? Vincent's latest parole hearing transcript, Jessica pulled up the file. Still claiming rehabilitation, but our sources confirm he's trying to contact old associates. Make sure those associates understand the consequences of responding. Alex's voice carried the same lethal focus that had destroyed the Romano Empire. How's James Malone's monitoring? Still under house arrest after his early release. His testimony and cooperation reduced his sentence, but the electronic monitoring confirms he hasn't violated restrictions. Jessica's fingers flew across her keyboard. Rachel keeps him in line. Rachel Martinez Malone had transformed from Tori's former best friend into James's stability anchor. Their marriage, witnessed by Tori through prison CCTV, marked the beginning of James's genuine rehabilitation. And our foundation? Alex asked. Kate's leading a new initiative, Jessica smiled. Using seized Romano properties to create halfway houses for women escaping domestic violence. The irony isn't lost on anyone. Dr. Catherine Winters had combined everything with a ruthless determination to help victims. The foundation she ran with Alex had systematically repurposed every Romano asset into resources for those the family had once terrorized. At Mass General, Kate's trauma unit pioneered treatments for victims of violence. Her staff included several former Romano victims, each contributing to the hospital's renowned victim support programs. Updates from our sources, Jessica continued. Anthony Romano's isolation status remains unchanged. 3 former associates tried reaching out last month, all now facing federal investigation thanks to Agent Wright's team. Diana Wright had risen to become the FBI's top organized crime investigator, her takedown of the Romano family launching a legendary career. Her task force, which still included Detective Morrison, specialized in dismantling corrupt family enterprises. Rebecca Foster's security? Alex inquired. Maintained at grade A, Jessica confirmed, though she hardly needs it now. Her consulting firm advises corporations on detecting internal corruption. The Romano case made her reputation. Rebecca had transformed from Tori's frightened assistant into a respected authority on corporate ethics. Her documentation of the Romano conspiracy became required reading at business schools. Maria Gonzalez? Still running our financial forensics division. Her team just uncovered another attempt by Vincent's people to hide assets. Not that there's much left to hide. The Romano financial empire had been systematically stripped away. Every account frozen, every asset seized, every business dismantled. The family that once controlled Boston's economy now relied on prison commissary accounts. In his private study, Alex reviewed the latest surveillance photos. Vincent Romano's prison yard privileges. Anthony's isolated cell. James's house arrest monitoring. Tori's prison routine. 10 years, Kate said from the doorway, her scrubs exchanged for casual elegance. Still keeping watch? Always. Alex's military vigilance hadn't diminished. They thought power meant never facing consequences. I wanted them to live long enough to lose everything. Kate moved to his desk, examining Tori's latest prison photo. The former beauty had aged decades in confinement, her calculated charm replaced by desperate bitterness. She asked about you again, Kate noted. In her therapy sessions, Dr. Chin's reports? Still obsessed with understanding how you orchestrated everything. She thought she was the master manipulator, using James's revenge plan while playing her family against itself. Alex's smile carried no warmth. She never understood. 8 years in SEAL Team 6 taught me more than tactics. It taught me that true victory means destroying an enemy's will to fight back. Their own marriage had strengthened through the years, forged in the crucible of bringing down the Romano Empire. Each anniversary celebrated in the restored courthouse where Judge Malone once presided, now renamed the Richard and Catherine Malone Justice Center. Thomas Reed's security report, Kate handed him a tablet. The annual survey of imprisoned Romano associates. Not a single attempt at reorganizing in the past 3 years. Reed had transformed the Romano Victims Foundation into a model for rehabilitating survivors of organized crime. The former FBI agents network kept constant watch for any sign of the family's remnants attempting to rebuild. Jack Reynolds is retiring, Kate continued. The detective who saved my parents' evidence wants to write a book about the case. Carlos Ramirez still running his youth intervention program? Successfully. Taking kids away from gang influence, showing them how to rebuild legitimate lives. Kate's voice carried satisfaction. The Romano Empire's destruction created something positive. In Framingham, Tori received another visitor. Rachel Martinez Malone, her former best friend, now happily married to the man Tori had tried to manipulate. Still bitter? Rachel asked, studying Tori through the glass. You betrayed me. Tori's accusation carried a decade of hatred. No, you betrayed everyone. Your family, James Alex. You thought you could play all sides. Rachel's voice held pity. You never understood what real loyalty meant. I understood power, Tori spat. And now you understand consequences. Rachel gathered her things. James wanted me to tell you. He's finally at peace. The revenge that consumed him, the manipulation you encouraged, he's free of it all. While I rot here, you chose this, Tori. Every decision, every betrayal, every attempt to play people against each other. Rachel stood. Alex didn't destroy you. He just made sure you lived to see everything you valued stripped away. In their Back Bay penthouse, Alex and Kate hosted their annual gathering. Detective Morrison, Agent Wright, Jessica Hayes, Rebecca Foster, Maria Gonzalez, everyone who'd helped expose the Romano conspiracy. To justice, Morrison raised her glass. And to the price of betrayal. The price? Thomas Reed asked. Complete and systematic destruction, Alex replied, his tactical mind still sharp as ever. Not just prison sentences or seized assets. The destruction of everything they valued. Power, influence, family name, future possibilities. They never understood what they were dealing with, Jessica noted. They saw a successful businessman they could manipulate and destroy. Instead, Kate finished, they found a warrior who turned their own weapons against them. In Framingham, Tori Romano returned to her cell. The latest legal notice detailed another Romano property being converted into a victim support center. Her family's empire, built over generations, now systematically repurposed to help those they'd once terrorized. The price of betrayal, as Alexander Winters had proven, wasn't just punishment. It was living long enough to see everything you valued turned against you, your own power becoming the instrument of your destruction. 10 years later, that price continued to compound. Daily interest paid in lost dignity, destroyed influence, and the systematic dismantling of everything the Romano name had represented. And Alexander Winters, the man they'd foolishly tried to destroy, stood stronger than ever. His empire built not on corruption and fear, but on exposing those who thought themselves above consequences. The ultimate price of betrayal, as Tori Romano learned every day in her prison cell, was being forced to live with the complete destruction of everything you once held dear. Some debts could never be repaid. But Alexander Winters had ensured the Romano family would spend their lives trying. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your time. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.